Let's talk about artificial sweeteners, which seem like attractive alternatives to sugar because they're intensely sweet and they add no calories to your diet. But these sweeteners are widely used in processed foods and soft drinks, candy, jellies, dairy products, pudding, and pretty much anything labeled sugar free. The most popular fake sweeteners on the market today are Equal and NutraSweet, which are aspartame. That's about 200 times sweeter than table sugar. Splenda, which is sucralose and is 600 times sweeter than sugar. Sweet One, Ace K, and Sunnet, those artificial sweeteners are based on acesulfame, which is also 200 times sweeter than sugar. Sweet and Low is saccharin, and that's also Sweet Twin or NectaSweet. Those are 700 times sweeter than sugar. And then there's xylitol, which is a sugar alcohol, such as erythritol, sorbitol, mannitol. Basically, anything ending in ITOL is a sugar alcohol, which, according to the Cleveland Clinic, they say that studies show that xylitol and erythritol enhance blood clotting risk, which contribute to heart attacks and stroke. And it doesn't take much either. Just one scoop of keto friendly ice cream, which contains 30 grams of xylitol, is enough to agitate our platelets to form clots, and the risk lasts for about 4 to 6 hours. For erythritol, the risk can remain for several days, actually. And then there's stevia, which is a leaf extract, and that sells under various names too, like Truvia, Purevia, and other names. Here's more of what we know today about these sweeteners. They actually lead us to crave more sweets because they're so intensely sweet, and they affect our gut bacteria, which can lead to extra fat storage. Aspartame not only increases our cancer risk, it's linked to hypertension and other health problems too. There are even aspartame support groups out there for people who have been harmed by aspartame. Artificial sweeteners also can affect glucose tolerance in both diabetics and non diabetics. And this is just a partial list. The only packaged sweetener I'm comfortable recommending would be stevia when it's used sparingly. Dr. Greger says it has to be kept to 2 sweetened drinks a day or less to stay on the safe side. And of course, we always have date sugar and date paste and date syrup, which are made from dates, which are a whole food, or the dates themselves would be ideal. Then we're eating the sugar as it's meant to be in a whole food. But as mentioned in the sugar video, even healthy sugars like sugar, date syrup, maple syrup, date powder, all of those should still count toward our daily sugar limit. You know, it's not like we have free reign to just eat as many healthy sugars as we want. We still have to keep under the 6 teaspoons a day for women and 9 teaspoons a day for men if you're following the American Heart Association recommendations. Or if you're SOS free, then you're not consuming any artificial sweeteners at all. So let's take a look at a couple product examples. Here we have Smucker's sugar-free blackberry jam. So what are they using instead of sugar, right? They've put something in there to make this sweet. They've used a few different things here. Polydextrose highlighted there in yellow, which is created in laboratory by combining dextrose, which is a corn sugar, with sorbitol, a corn or a sugar alcohol. So that's how dextrose is made. They've combined a sugar, corn sugar, and an alcohol. Then there's also polydextrose, which is a man-made fiber, and it's a sugar replacement used in both the food and the drug industry as well. But there's gastrointestinal issues linked to it. And then we see maltodextrin, which is another type of highly processed sweetener. It's really used to improve the texture and the taste of food. But again, it's a thickener, it's a stabilizer, and it's man-made. It's an artificial sweetener. And the concerns around maltodextrin is that it creates gastrointestinal issues like gas, bloating, diarrhea, and it also hampers the growth of our good gut bacteria. It's also shown to cause blood sugar spikes due to its high glycemic index, making it a big concern for people with diabetes or insulin resistance. So even though this product says sugar-free, it's really not diabetic friendly. And then we have another artificial sweetener in here, sucralose. and that's the stuff that Splenda is made of. So we also see some dyes in there, which I've got highlighted in blue, and we're going to talk about dyes in the next section. Let's look at another example. Here is Skinny Girl Poppy Seed Dressing, which is a fat-free, sugar-free dressing. And the artificial sweeteners here, again, include maltodextrin and sucralose, highlighted there in orange. Now, in blue there, you'll see that I've highlighted titanium dioxide. That's a coloring agent that we'll talk about in another session about food dyes. But this titanium dioxide has been banned in European countries for many years for having properties that can damage our DNA. So, we need to consider these things before we're liberally pouring this dressing onto our salads. What about sugar-free beverages? That's another thing to be aware of. Let's take a look here at Diet Coke. We see highlighted there in yellow that aspartame is the artificial sweetener being used here, which we just talked about, the dangers of aspartame. And I've also highlighted other ingredients while we're on this slide. Just as a side note, I've highlighted there in blue that most pops do, not all, but most of them do contain phosphoric acid. Again, you see that highlighted in blue there. That can be very damaging to our bone health because whenever we consume dietary acids like phosphoric acid or sulfuric acid, our bodies have to buffer that acid in order to protect itself. And one way that the body does that is by leaching calcium directly from our skeleton system in order to buffer that acid. So pop is bad for the bones. I've also highlighted there potassium benzoate, which is a preservative used in a bunch of highly processed foods and as well as some skincare products. And this additive can be unharmful rather, in small amounts, although some people are allergic to it. But we're going to talk about more about preservatives and additives in just a minute. But this potassium benzoate, there is concern that it raises ADHD levels and cancer risk. Okay, let's take another look at a beverage. This is Crystal Light packets that you would typically add to a bottle of water. So here highlighted in yellow, again, we see maltodextrin, aspartame, and this one also contains that acesulfame potassium known as ACE-K, which has been associated with a lot of potential health risks, but the research on it is still limited. However, the Center for Science in the Public Interest, that's the CSPI, they report that ACE-K is associated with cancer, hormone disruption, and especially a risk to pregnant women. So if you take the approach of better safe than sorry when it comes to controversial food additives, then it may be best to steer clear of this ACE-K or anything with acesulfame. Now, there are many, many sugar-free products on the market. So remember to read your labels to see what the product is being sweetened with. It could be fruit or dates and maybe perhaps stevia, but you would want to reconsider the products that are made with these man-made fake sweeteners that are known to cause harm. Okay, let's move on to the next section.